Minnesotans are experiencing economic pressure. Gas and grocery prices are going up. And then there's our property taxes. But Senator Michael Kreun says when it comes to improving affordability across the state, he can help with housing. Senator, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I have heard about the rise in property taxes here in Minnesota. It's been described as astronomical. What does that mean? Take me through some of these numbers.
Well, just in the last year, property taxes have increased by nearly $1 billion statewide, which is about a 7% increase from last year. So property taxes have been going up for a while, but it's becoming more acute lately. So that's why we've come up with a solution for it. And if the Minnesotans, like 87% of Minnesotans, either are very concerned or at least somewhat concerned about their property taxes. So this is one of the top issues that I'm hearing about from constituents. So that's why I put the bill together to address it.
And Senator, how did we get here?
Well, it is complicated, and there's a number of reasons. I think one of the big reasons is that we keep asking our cities and counties to do more and more without the funds that go with it. We call that unfunded mandates. And we've been placing more and more of those on our cities and counties. So that's the first thing. I have my bill, but the first thing we need to do is stop with the mandates. Stop asking our cities and counties to do more and more without the funding that goes with it.
Is that an option? Can we remove some of those mandates or roll them back?
Yeah, that is an option. The first priority is to not add more. And then we can go look at some of the existing ones and see where it makes sense to scale back. And then you couple that with my bill to cap property taxes at the rate of inflation. And I think those two things kind of go together.
Talk to me more about that bill that you're proposing.
So it would cap property taxes on cities and counties. This wouldn't apply to school districts. They have their own version of this already. But it would cap property tax growth at the rate of inflation. It would allow a little bit for growing communities, so it would be 50% of population growth as well. So for example, if the rate of inflation is 3% and a city has grown by 1,000 people, you could have a 3.5% increase on property taxes. Beyond that, it would have to go to the voters on a referendum, and they would have the final say.
Now let me just put this in terms as a non-math person.
Yeah.
So would this bill, like say, cut my property taxes? Would it stop them from rising, or both? Yeah,
so it would curb the growth. And hopefully the mandates, if we got rid of that, it would encourage cities and counties to actually reduce their property tax rates, but this bill would cap the growth. So no more surprise 7, 10, 15% increases on your property tax bill. I've been hearing from constituents in my area that they've had double-digit increases back to back to back. And those are the kind of things that make my constituents really scared about whether or not they're going to be able to stay and afford living in their house.
Yeah, I mean, you put so much effort into finding your home, into getting your house, and the thought of property taxes forcing you to leave is kind of devastating.
Right, yeah.
So you've got this bill that you're proposing. What have you heard from constituents about your bill, or from colleagues, or from the local governments themselves who are kind of relying on those funds?
Right, well, it's been mostly positive. From my constituents and homeowners in particular, they like the idea. I haven't really heard much negativity towards it indirectly, and I'm sure the counties and cities are very, at least they're questioning how this is going to work, because they're concerned about, hey, you guys at the state are telling us to do more, and now you're going to cap the only way we can recoup those funds. I think when I talk about mandate relief, that puts them at ease a little bit. So it's been mostly positive. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say your bill does make it through the legislative process. How soon could Minnesotans experience relief from their property taxes?
Yeah, as early as your next property tax statement for next year, if the bill passes this year. If we wait till next year, then it would be one additional year after that.
Are there any options right now on the table for homeowners who really need relief?
Yeah, there's a couple other options in addition to an overall cap for everyone. We have a program for disabled vets that exempts a certain amount of their property value before their property tax kicks in. That number hasn't increased in like 10 or 15 years, so we need to get that number increased. We can also look at things like deferred property taxes for seniors so that they don't have to pay the increases until they sell their home later on.
And we're talking about property taxes. Obviously, that affects homeowners, but is there a wider impact? You know, it's that $1 billion, like, is that impacting Minnesota's economy or people's quality of life?
It's certainly both of those things. It impacts their quality of life because they have less money to spend, and that in turn impacts the economy as well. And this is particularly true for seniors who are mostly on fixed incomes. And so when these property taxes increase 10 or 15%, their take-home pay is certainly not increasing by that amount. So that gives them less buying power, decreases their quality of life, which in turn hurts our economy.
This is part of your caucus's efforts to address affordability. Has there been interest from the other caucus in joining you guys on some of these bills?
I haven't heard anybody on the property tax bill, and my hope would be on our bill that would get rid of taxes on tips and overtime. I'm hoping there could be some bipartisan support on that. We remain hopeful on that. And then reducing tab fees is another big one that we're hearing a lot about constituents. And again, no interest yet, but we'll keep working on it.
Are you aware of any bipartisan efforts to address affordability outside of maybe that package?
I'm not aware of any right now. Certainly, I'm willing to look at anything. Affordability is a huge issue right now. Allowing people to have a little bit more of their money, to keep more of their money, I think would be really beneficial right now. So any proposal that seeks to do that, I'm happy to look at it and perhaps be a part of it.
I know that you are big on bipartisan efforts. Your work with Senator Gustafson on the OIG, and you talked about working on a library bill across the aisle. Just because if it's a good idea, you're all for it. So I look forward to see what happens in this space.
Yeah.
Senator, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.